What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Wayne's World. So this is episode number 11, and today's date is September 3rd, 2021. It's been, I think, a little over a week since we did our last video. I've been trying to get some stuff out there and some information out there. Just been spending 12, 18, 20 hours a day working on this new location in St. John's. We're almost done. The finish line's in sight. And we'll be opening up that new location for my wife's business, 7 Stars Agency, which is a real estate business. And then I'll have an office in there too for Pale Rider training. So real quick, I'm going to talk about some business stuff, and then it's on to other things, so bear with me. September 11th, we have a concealed pistol course coming up at the Central Michigan Sportsman's Club, and September 18th, we have a concealed pistol licensing course coming up at the Ithaca Public Library basement. The information for those classes is on paleridertraining.com on our upcoming courses page, and the registration forms at the bottom. And then on October 16th, as of right now, we have pistol skills or an advanced pistol course coming up. It's all day shooting, tons of fun, very educational, good training. I promise you, you will get better in that day of training with your firearm and become more proficient with self-defense, firearms tactics and skills. And that's October 16th at the Flat River Conservation Club. Our old class is still posted up on the website, and it has the address and all the information on there. I got to get home and post a new one up here soon. So those are our upcoming courses. We're trying to put another pistol course together for September yet. It's going to be probably somewhere in the Ithaca area. We're still trying to nail down a location for that. Now on to, the things that are going on in the world, why I think a lot of people come and listen to this channel. Afghanistan, that's what my last video was about. And I talked about that right after it first started. And a lot of things have happened since those first few days of the Afghanistan debacle. And there's a ton of major things, and there's a ton of implications behind all of it. But our administration, I got to use my words carefully here, knew exactly what was going to happen when they drew down the troop presence in Afghanistan. We now have phone conversation recordings or transcripts between the administration and the president of Afghanistan, where our side's telling him and kind of quid pro quoing him to play out the narrative like the Afghan military's in control and the Taliban isn't taking over the country like they were. And they offered to use American tax dollars to kind of bribe this guy and give him some assets in order to kind of fake the narrative. So we have proof of that. So we knew exactly what was coming. We knew that we were going to get overrun. We knew that the country was going to go to hell in a handbasket and that the Taliban was going to take over. And I don't know if you remember, probably 2 or 3 videos ago, I talked about the whole Bo Bergdahl situation. Well, in the end of it, I talked about how we traded 5 Al-Qaeda generals for Bo Bergdahl to cover up a different scheme that I talked about. Long story, but you have to watch that video. And it's now known that one of those released prisoners, one of the leaders of the Al-Qaeda that we let loose and trade for Bo Bergdahl, was basically the mastermind behind the Taliban taking over the country. So everything connects together. The pandemic, the election, the Afghanistan, the border, all of this stuff. And it's not just these things. This goes back for years and decades and even longer than that. And you can put pieces to the puzzle together. And I can't tell you all of the truth behind this stuff because there's so much of it. And I can't tell you all of the information that I've researched behind this stuff because I've been doing it for a very long time, over 10 years. And I've kind of kept it to myself because, I don't know, I don't put my information out to the public until I started doing this Wayne's World stuff. But at some point in time, I saw that we were drastically taking a turn for the worse as far as our country is concerned. And that's shortly after was when I decided to run for sheriff of the county that I live in, because I wanted to do my part. I'm not good at sitting on the sidelines. I want to be a part of our side fighting back against this evil communist greed takeover of our country. And that was the best way I could figure to do so at the time. But as of right now, these videos are the best way I can open people's eyes. And the point of this is to get you to go out there and start researching this information for yourself, because there's so much of it out there that you need to start connecting the dots for yourself. I can only tell you so much. We only have so much time here. But so back to the Afghanistan thing. So we knew what was going to happen. And shortly after the takeover, they sent a bunch of Marines back in to try to get people out of there, and we're flying plane load after plane load of unvetted Afghan citizens to the United States. And these people they're putting the Afghan citizens, into the swing states. Now, why do you think they're doing that? They're trying to change the course of election processes in these swing states. And the vast majority of the people that have been flown out of Afghanistan aren't the people that helped us during our 20-year war. They're not the people that fought side by side with us and their families. They're not our translators and their families. They're, who knows? And I'm guessing a good number of them is Al-Qaeda and Taliban and ISIS and all of these other organizations that hate America. And they're going to put them in here. They're going to get a foothold, and they're going to start opening up their communication networks, and then bad things are going to start happening in this country. Like I said before, in my opinion, one of the best things about us fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan and over there in the Middle East is it kept us fighting them on their turf instead of them coming here and attacking our civilian population. And they're flying them here by the thousands. And so they're bringing those people here. We're letting people cross the border. We're taking planes down to Central America, to these basically destroyed, terrible countries, and we're flying them across the border. Our planes are doing this. And I've mentioned this before, but there's this guy out there called Monkey Works Overwatch, and it works as WERX, Monkey Works Overwatch. And this guy basically just watches the sky and tracks planes. And you can tell a whole lot about what's going on by tracking these planes. He's tracking the planes around Afghanistan, out of Afghanistan to the United States, and he's tracking our planes that are leaving the United States, going to Central America, to these countries, and daily they're flying planes from the States down to Central America, back into the States, dropping people off, and they're going into Florida and into Texas and into these other states where it seems like the government officials and the population are starting to fight back against this corrupt narrative that's starting to take over. But shortly after we talked last time, back on the Afghanistan topic, 12 Marines and a Navy corpsman were killed by a suicide bomber. And I'm pretty sure there was some small arms fire in there too. And we knew, our administration knew when, where, and who this attack was going to take place. So they knew where it was going to take place, what gate at the airport. They knew who was going to do it, and they know roughly what time. And we didn't draw our troops back and say, hey, shut this gate down. We have this intelligence coming in that there's going to be an attack here. They just let them be out there as targets. And not only that, and this is sickening, we now have proof that we had the actual suicide bomber in the sights of a Predator drone. And the drone pilot asked for permission to fire on this guy that killed our 12 Marines and our sailor, and permission was denied. Now, this hits really close to home. First off, the Marine Corps infantry is a small place, and those guys and gals, I've never met them, but they are my brothers and sisters through and through. It's their blood. And the guy that I teach my firearms classes with, he just left that company. And a Marine company is small. So if he didn't personally know all these guys, he knew them in passing. He probably personally knew quite a few of them, because a Marine company is not very big. And so it hits close to home. And those lives were wasted. I mean, those guys are heroes. The Marines and Sailor, they're heroes. But it was unnecessary. The whole thing was unnecessary. And in my opinion, I don't care who gave the orders and who gave the commands. That's straight up murder. And I don't know if you've seen the videos. I'm sure some of you have, and the information out there. But a Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel Scheller, who was a battalion commander, I want to say the School of Infantry or the Infantry Training Battalion, he came out and called for them to be held accountable for their actions. And if there's one thing that they preach in the military, especially in the Marine Corps, it's following your chain of command. This guy jumped his chain of command, but for good reason. And because nobody is going to stand up. And so this guy stand up, and he risked and gave up everything. That's how much the people out there believe in trying to fix our country. This guy resigned his commission. He'd been in the Marine Corps for 17 years. He gave up his pension. He gave up VA care. He gave it all up. And it's because he wants to see people held accountable for what happened to these young Marines. And, we need more people like him. We need more people at the higher echelons to stand up. And we need to band together. And that's the one thing that they fear the most. That's the one thing the other team fears the most, is us stop squabbling amongst ourselves about petty differences, and we stand up together and fight back and take this country back. And I don't mean physically fight and go out there and cause violence, but we need to make our voices heard. We need to make our dollars count, and we need to do something. We need to get into the school boards and fix our school systems. We need to get into small town politics and fix our cities and our counties and our states. And every little tiny bit helps. So that's why I'm doing this, to get the word out, to push you to fight. I'm going to do everything that I can to stand up against this. And, hopefully soon some opportunities come my way where there's more that I can do with my skills and background than just putting videos out there and training the civilian population. And I mean, I go overseas still here and there, but it's not enough. I want to do more. And so this whole thing in Afghanistan sounds almost exactly like what happened in Benghazi. We basically left our people out there to die. There was a way to help them, and our administration denied the process of those American citizens and American military. They denied them from getting help. In Benghazi, we had units, a Marine unit, a Special Forces unit, and I believe an Army unit close by that could have helped out Ambassador Stevens, the CIA compound, and our quasi embassy, if that's what you want to call it, when they were calling and begging for help because they were under attack, and permission was denied. And the actual contractors that were at the CIA compound, they were told not to go, and they said screw this and went anyways, and they saved a lot of American lives because of it. And so they were denied help, and Americans were left out there to fry. Same thing in Afghanistan. Those Marines were left out there to fry when we could have saved them, when our administration could have saved them. And now we have who knows how many civilian Americans and military Americans stuck in Afghanistan, and they're stranded. And then our administration gave the Taliban a list of who's there. They gave them a list, and this is actually out in mainstream news. It's not just in the behind the scenes news, where our administration gave a list of the American citizens that are still in country and the people that we're supposed to get out of there, who were the Afghans that helped us throughout the war process. So now the Taliban has a hit list of who they're going to go and take out. And they got $85 billion in our gear. $85 billion. And the White House just came out with an order to the federal government to erase all proof, all documents that have anything to do with that $85 billion in equipment and the money that we've spent in training the Afghan military. They told the federal government to erase proof of it out of the system. And why would they do that? Why would they want to erase that proof? And this is some terrible shit, because they have tons of $85 billion in our gear. And it's not just going to be in Afghanistan with the Taliban. That's going to make its way to Iran. All of these other terrorist organizations are going to get a hold of it. They have up armored vehicles and helicopters and uniforms and equipment and small arms and probably a lot of top secret equipment and night vision and everything else. So when you see the videos of these Taliban from far away, looks just like Americans. They're driving around in our vehicles, they're wearing our uniforms, they have our gear on, they're carrying our weapons. So if we have to go back in there and fight, it's going to be real hard to figure out who's who now. And now, I mean, they have technology and gear and good weapons, and the news narrative is all of it was inoperable. They just did a parade. The Taliban did a parade, victory parade, in our vehicles wearing our gear with our weapons. So it looks all pretty operable to me. And then I've seen videos of them going house to house and killing people that aren't on their team, and taking our helicopters and tying nooses around people's necks and basically flying up in the air and hanging these people with helicopters and flying around and showing it off to the civilian population. And Sharia law is going to get implemented. Women are going to get killed and tortured, and it's going to go back to basically 6th century nonsense that we could have stopped, that we did stop, that our politicians and the people that supposedly in charge failed us, failed the American people, failed the American military. You know, they dropped the ball big time, and they did it on purpose, because this helps everybody that our commander-in-chief is beholden to, the people that run him. This helps China, because China was already at the deal table with the Taliban. They said, hey, when you take over, first off, they're the only ones with the embassy left in Kabul, a working embassy. But they told the Taliban, when you take over, we want to help you. We're going to bring in infrastructure. We just want your mining rights. We want the rare earth metals. We want the oil, and we're going to give you money in exchange for it. And also, I've heard word that Burisma, I don't know how much you remember the name of that company, but that was where Hunter worked and made a killing, made like a ton of money every month to sit on a board that he had no business or experience being on, and it was a payoff. And I can't say this is true. I've just heard some squawkings about it, but this is true. They've been trying to put a pipeline through that part of the world for a long time, and Afghanistan was the block in the road, and now the Burisma is going to get their pipeline through there. And meanwhile, we're helping, I think it's Tajikistan, build border security and put up border walls between Tajikistan and Afghanistan. So we go all over the world and help all these countries build border walls and set up secure borders, because to have a sovereign country, you have to have a secure border. But the narrative here is, hey, we don't need a border. Let everybody cross it and we'll take care of them. Does any of this make sense? Does any of it make sense? And I've had people that I respect and I like come to me and say, you know, this sounds like MAGA, Trump, blah, blah, blah. And hell yeah, I support Trump. That dude, regardless of his mouth, he was for Americans. Look at all the stuff that he did that was positive for America. He rebuilt our military to be strong and feared. He had the whole world in check. He got us out of bad deals for the United States. He shut down our border. He started to make NATO do the right thing. The list goes on and on and on. And think of what he could have accomplished if everybody wasn't fighting him for 4 years. He was being fought by the left. He was being fought by the right. He was being fought by the news media. He was being fought by Hollywood and pro sports and all of these filthy, rich, terrible people that are all evil and controlled and part of the team that is against all of us. And if you don't see the writing on the wall now, man, I don't even know what to tell you. And, you know, I've had some people argue with me about this stuff, but look it up, look into it for yourself. And if you can actually support Joe Biden, and if you voted for him and you are happy with how your vote turned out now, man, you need to do some soul searching, because this guy is helping destroy our country. And I mean, you can watch him on TV and tell that he doesn't have two brain cells to rub together. he was dumb to begin with, and that was a known fact. And now he's senile and inept on top of being stupid and corrupt. So you need to open your eyes. And let me go through my paperwork here for a minute. I had a few other things I want to talk about. But so we got a lot of the Afghanistan out of the way. And so after those Marines were killed and they were brought home, the parents of the slain Marines were offered to meet with the president. And I think most of them turned it down because they have no respect for that guy, and they know he's responsible for the death of their family members, their children. And one mother did meet with him, and she said it was out of respect for her son. And she was mad, as any mom would be. And he got her son killed unnecessarily. And there was multiple ways that he could have stopped that from happening. He's the guy in charge running the show. And he tried to tell her his sob story about how he understands. And yeah, Biden did have a son die, but he died in a hospital bed of brain cancer with the world's best medical people around him, and his family standing there with him in his loved ones. And it was nobody's fault. It was cancer. And I mean, so she said, you don't know what I feel, and you don't have a right to tell me how I feel. And he basically threw his hands up and rolled his eyes, like, you know, he was sick of her shit. And then when the bodies of the Marines were being brought off the plane, he kept constantly checking his watch, like, when is it time to get out of here? Because that dude didn't want to be there. He doesn't care that those Marines died. And, you know, this is another thing that I've noticed lately. So Marines and soldiers are not the same thing, right? Marines are Marines, and Army personnel are soldiers. And there's this new narrative being pushed out there that Marines are the most likely military branch to become neo-Nazis. And they specifically use the word Marines when they talk about that. But then when the news media talks about the dead military members from overseas, they don't call them Marines, they call them soldiers, because most people don't know the difference. And when you hear the word Marines, you know what that means. When you hear soldier, you think military personnel. And so when they're talking about the slain people, they say soldiers, which isn't correct. Soldiers and Marines are not one and the same. So they're trying to push this narrative out there in the public, like Marines are neo-Nazis and bad and white supremacists and all this other stuff, and it's just plain not true. They're trying to sway your opinion against the Marine Corps, which is it is not a racist organization whatsoever. But they're trying to, you know, turn the population against the Marine Corps while Marines are overseas dying for the United States of America. You know, so, and then that same mom who put that information out there that she had that meeting with Biden and he just acted a fool, she got banned off of social media, and she got the word out about it, and they said, oh, it was an accident. They always ban people who are going against the narrative, and when they get caught up, they're like, oh, it was an accident. It was a glitch in the system. It was an accident. And same thing with the election. That we found all these problems, and there's a lot of problems and a lot of corruption, and it's gonna come out soon. And the ball's gonna snowball because there was a lot of bad things that took place, and it was by design. In I had something I was saying with that, but I forgot what it was because I'm going off on kind of a tangent here. But oh yeah, how the people on the right keep getting kicked off of social media. Well, simultaneously while this is going on, Chase Bank wrote a letter to General Flynn and canceled his accounts. And the letter they wrote said that it would be bad for their reputation if they did business with him. Well, the word got out, and Chase Bank said, oh, it was an accident. How do you accidentally write a letter to somebody saying that dealing with you could be detrimental to our reputation and close their accounts? And then when the word got out about that, Americans all over the country started closing their Chase Bank accounts. And Chase Bank had to step back and be like, oh, darn, we made a mistake. So, that's a way that you can fight back. If you have accounts with Chase Bank, if you have credit cards with Chase Bank or Bank of America, which is doing the same thing, get rid of them. Don't give your money to these filthy, greedy, corrupt corporations that are helping with the destruction of America. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of the big rich companies out there that are against us and playing ball with the other team. So, I've gotten a lot of the information that I wanted to out there. And the point of all this is, we can't afford to be quiet anymore. We can't afford to hope that somebody else fights our battle for us. And we can't afford to hope that this is the ship's gonna right itself and someone will fix it. Because I've had way too many people say that to me, and they get stressed out when you bring them truth and proof of what's going on, and they don't want to take the time to read it for themselves, and they ask questions. And then I've had a lot of people that have come to me looking for information, and then when I start telling them information, it's almost too much for them to handle. Like, it stresses them out too bad that we're headed in this direction, and they don't want to deal with it. Well, we're going to have to deal with it one way or another. Either we're going to get destroyed or we're going to fix the problem. And I'm all for fixing the problem. And to do that, we have to unite. And it doesn't matter what your skin color is. It doesn't matter what your political leanings are. It doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter if you believe in aliens or not. We're all Americans. And that's what we have to be. Not white Americans, not African Americans, not Asian Americans, not Democratic Americans, not Republican Americans. We just need to be Americans, and we need to stand up for what's right in America. And they've been trying to ruin us for a long time, and they were doing it slowly over the course of probably over 100 years. And especially after World War II, I think the rest of the world realized that America was a force to be reckoned with. And the Obama administration, followed by what was supposed to be the Clinton administration, was going to be the destruction of us. And, Trump stepped in and stopped it. And now they're kicking it into high gear because they got 4 years to make up for. So, we can't let this happen. Even in small town America where we live here, they're trying to push this stuff on us. They're trying to push this way of thinking on us that divides us. And it's sick. Most of it is sick. It's good versus evil now. And I mean, for instance, this is not me saying anything bad about any demographic of person, but one of my nieces goes into school on her first day of school the other day, and her first period teacher hands out some information to all the students in the class, and he wants to know what pronouns they want to use, because or whatever this thing is. It goes by they and them, and that's not reality. That's a twisted mind, and that's what's out there teaching our kids, and that's what is corrupting them at a young age. And we have other teachers that are out there that one just got caught telling the kids to pledge allegiance to the gay pride flag, and another one was saying that he has 180 days to indoctrinate these kids into the Antifa way of thinking. And this is who's teaching our kids. This is where it starts. And the whole idea behind the communist takeover of America is they had to destroy certain factions within the United States. And one of those factions was the nuclear family. And their whole thing was, if we make the kids hate the parents and we make the parents hate each other, then we can destroy the nuclear family. And they're well on their way if we let this keep going. And they have control of the school boards and the teachers. And it's not all teachers and it's not all school boards, but it's everywhere. So, get involved. Figure out what your kids are being taught in school. Go to the school board meetings. And if these people aren't pushing what's right for your children, then stand up and do something about it. And we've had countless situations in the United States in the last 6 months to a year where the parents have came in and removed the school board because the school board was not doing what was right for the kids. That's one place where we can make a difference. Figure out what our kids are learning in school and start teaching them the right stuff. Start teaching them the right history. Start making sure that they're not indoctrinated by some teacher. So, and then get involved in your small town politics, whether it be your city council or something going on with your county. This is how we start to fix America. And there's a lot of people that are at it right now. There's a lot of people that see what's happening and they're trying to fix it. And it's just normal, everyday people that are trying to fix these elections because the politicians failed us, the Supreme Court failed us. Well, this is our country. We're the ones in charge. We're the powerful ones. They're not. They're supposed to represent us and what we want. And do you see them up there doing that? There's a reason why the same people are in politics for 40, 50, 60 years. And it's not because they're doing the right thing. It's because they're lining their pockets. They're doing what the corporations that pay them want them to do, and they're destroying America in the process. And then because they're taking payments and because they're doing sick, twisted, evil things, they are now owned by China or whoever, So, I'm going to be back shortly with another video. This one was just kind of off the cuff because I needed to get something out there. Come check us out for a class. Go to our website and hit me up with what you think about this because we need to make our voices loud. And I'm afraid if we don't do it now, there's not going to be a second chance. So this isn't to put fear into you. This is to put fire into you and make you get out there and do your part to fight back because I'm doing my best to do my part. And until next time, peace out.